through Fox News and let the independents who are tuning into you, let them know what it is that she stands for, the principles behind her positions.
It used to be that new candidates were advised to brush up on the issues so they could handle questions from anyone, even tough questions. The idea behind that was that it prepared you also for actually governing. But now the advice to candidates is only to talk to sympathetic reporters.
We need to start now by electing strong leaders who aren't afraid to shake it up. We need strong, principled leaders, public servants who respect our Constitution.
We need clarity. We deserve answers, so we don't ask the same questions tomorrow.
Good night, Laura.
Welcome back to Harbaugh. From Tea Partiers like Christine O'Donnell and Sharon Angle to senators like David Vitter, a number of Republican candidates have gone MIA when it comes to media events and debates this campaign season. But can they win by dodging reporters and running out the clock on the press? Gene Cummings writes for Politico, and John Ralston, of course, has been covering Sharon Angle's many gaps as a columnist for the Los Angeles Sun. You're chuckling already. I'm going to start with John. Let's take a look at this Angle and the latest from her. Let's take a look. Sharon Angle had a tough time clarifying her comment that people may seek Second Amendment remedies, as she put it. Here she is with ABC's John Carl, followed by her original statement in January with radio host Lars Larson. Let's look at what she's had to deal with in terms of running away from what she said. Let's listen.
When you said that if things don't turn out the right way in this election, people may seek Second Amendment remedies. What did you mean by that? What are Second Amendment?
I don't think that was exactly the way I said it.
You tell me. Forget how you said it. You tell me.
We were discussing once again, in a context of the Second Amendment, we were having a discussion about the Founding Fathers and why they had put the Second Amendment into the Bill of Rights.
You know, our Founding Fathers, they put that Second Amendment in there for a good reason, and that was for the people to protect themselves against a tyrannical government. In fact, you know, Thomas Jefferson said it's good for a country to have a revolution every 20 years. I hope that's not where we're going, but, you know, if this Congress keeps going the way it is, people are really looking toward those Second Amendment remedies. They're saying, my goodness, what can we do to turn this country around? And I'll tell you, the first thing we need to do is take Harry Reid out.
I don't know how to put that. There's an interesting juxtaposition there, John, of this frightening language about using gunplay to kill members of Congress if you don't like the way they're voting. And then that wonderful old phrase I grew up with, oh, my goodness. You know, what is this folksy gunplay, I guess you call it? Is this frontierswoman talk or what? How can anybody put someone like that in the Senate? Just thinking, just asking.
Well, I guess what disturbs me a little bit about watching Sharon Angle is what I would describe her careless rhetoric, and that's a perfect example of it, because you can't actually believe, Chris, that she thinks that people should go out and shoot members of Congress, who, by the way, she's also said they're domestic enemies. Remember that one inside Capitol Hill, as if there are some quislings we have to worry about. So her careless use of this kind of rhetoric is very disturbing. Remember, at the end of the original soundbite, she said we have to take Harry Reid out. She eventually backed off from that, but that is very incendiary kind of language. And I just don't think she understands the impact of it, or if she does, she suddenly gets amnesia about it and says, I never said that.
Let's take a look. I want Gene Cummings to respond to this Sharon Angle comment. Here's her latest fiasco. She trashed the Republican Party in a secretly recorded audio tape. Let's listen to her words.
The Republicans have lost their standard. They've lost their principle. And really, that's what the machine in the Republican Party is fighting against peace.
Well, what do you make of that? I mean, I don't know if that offends anybody. The Republican machine's not exactly in great shape. I mean, it's not they who are winning these elections. It's the potentially it's the attitude of the voters generally. They don't like what's been going on in the economy. Your thoughts? So how can this these kinds of candidates, we're going to run through 2 or 3 of them here, guys. If they can elude any more serious questioning, I guess they're hoping that the voters will forget these incredibly wild comments.
Well, I think that they hope that the voters forget what they've already said, and they're hoping that they don't say any more. It's interesting that with these new candidates, what they lack is experience. And so what we often hear from them is real conversation that often will take place behind closed doors. And then they don't have the filter that an experienced politician does, where they're careful not to say these things when they're out in public. And so they just say whatever's on their mind, as John was saying, a careless use of language, and in some cases, very dangerous language. And so I think what we're seeing them, several of them do, is to pull way back, and so that they can't be caught making a mistake like this again, and then, try to run the clock out, as you said earlier, Chris, to Election Day.
In Nevada, just a little while ago, she spoke with CNN political producer Shannon Travis, and Shannon is joining us now with more. Shannon, let me play this little clip of the exchange you had with her. Listen to this.
To a work ethic.
Please.
Thank you for your encouragement.
And what do you say, Governor? What do you say to your critics who say you're way too divisive to forge a consensus?
God bless you. Oh,
critics say you're way too divisive.
They're going to say what they're going to say, and if I spend all my time just answering the critics, I might as well close up shop and do nothing else. Instead, we're out here, and we're just appreciating the enthusiasm for the common sense message of Tea Party Americans. I'm very pleased to see that Sharon Angle is doing so well, and predict, of course, that she's going to be able to retire Reid, as others across the country are working on that issue, in addition to the issue of needing to fire Pelosi, so that those gavels will be removed from the big government politicians and allow those with common sense, with a pro-private sector agenda, to be in more control of the policy and the votes. The Tea Party American movement is going to grow. On November 3rd, November 2nd isn't the end of this. It's the beginning of this, the reawakening of America, and understanding what our foundation is, and how America was built, and how it became prosperous and generous and safe, and now we need to build upon that.
Suppose Senator John Doe puts forth a constitutional amendment that would outlaw abortion, even in cases of rape or incest, and he asked you to attend the announcement and support him in that. Would you do it?
I would. Yes, a proposal like that, I would stand by it.
Let's be completely clear about the facts here. There is no place in the world and no time in history where restricting women's reproductive rights makes a people or a nation more free or more equal. These extreme positions on abortion are, without any question, a war on American girls and women, and the fact that there are women who are both complicit and participatory in it is really neither surprising nor unprecedented. It has always been true, and it is incredibly important that we recognize that despite the fact that we can be very proud of these women and as politicians, that the question is, how do women as citizens fare on the other side of them either being elected or not elected?